Dear friends, welcome to this week's virtual drasha. This week we have the incredible privilege to read the parashas of Vayakhel Pikudei and in Mirz Hashem conclude Sefer Shmuel. Chazak, Chazak, V'nis Chazek Shabbos. It also represents the conclusion of the narrative of the Mishkan. We began back in Parashas Truma, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Va'asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'socham. Make for me a mikdash, make for me a home, make for me a temple, and I will dwell within you. Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't need a home. Kadosh Baruch Hu doesn't need a physical address. But for us, physical, corporeal beings, it is helpful to have a physical point of connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It is helpful to have an address where we could come and seek out HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Even though you can access Hashem anywhere and everywhere, it's a gift to us to have a place of communion with HaKadosh Baruch Hu in this world. And the parashas of Vayakhel Pikudei are kind of like the summary. Truma and Tetzaveh tell us everything that Hashem commanded Moshe and Moshe commanded the people. And then in Vayakhel Pikudei we are told that all of those holy instructions were executed. But the parasha itself, the Chumash, ends in a very interesting way. In Parak Mem, Pasuk of chapter 40, verse 36, the Pasuk says, "Ubeha'alos ha'anan me'ala mishkan, yisu b'nei Yisrael b'chol ma'aseim." And literally again, when the cloud lifted up from on top of the Mishkan, so Klal Yisrael traveled forward in all of their journeys, in all of their travels. Fascinating idea, and we're familiar with this because the Chumash is filled with this particular detail. In general, throughout our time in the desert, how did we know when to travel, when to break camp and travel, or when to remain in place? It was based on the cloud. Hashem appeared to us in the form of a cloud throughout our time in the desert, which would become 40 years in the desert. When the cloud was situated atop the Mishkan, that was indicative that we're to stay in place. When the cloud lifted up, dislodged, and moved forward, that indicated that it was time to break camp and move forward as well. A detail we're familiar with. But asks the Lubavitcher Rebbe, why is this detail here? This has nothing to do with our topic. Nothing to do with the Mishkan. Remember, it has to do with the Mishkan and that the cloud was situated on top of the Mishkan. But aside from that, again, these parashos, Vayakhel Pikudei, are all about the execution of the details of the commandments, of the instructions to create the Mishkan, to fabricate the Mishkan, to create the Pikudei, the Kohanic vestments. Why is this detail about the cloud included here at the conclusion of this section of the Mishkan? And the Rebbe says something so incredibly beautiful. The Rebbe says the cloud, of course, represented HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But the positioning of the cloud has tremendous, beautiful, and important metaphorical significance. The clouds, right when we were at rest, so to speak, the cloud was attached on top of the Olam Moed, on top of the Mishkan, stationary. The Rebbe says when the cloud sits on top of the Mishkan, those represent the times in life of tranquility, where everything is as it should be, right? The cloud is there, HaKadosh Baruch Hu is there, the Mishkan is there, Klal Yisrael is there, alles git, right? Everything is good. Everything is exactly as it should be. Beautiful, happiness, tranquility, yishuv hadas in life. And then there are times when the cloud lifts up off the Mishkan. The Rebbe says those represent times of difficulty and turbulence, overwhelming circumstances, where there's just disruption. It's just life as I know it has been upended. Things are unstable. And in those moments, it's incredibly overwhelming. The cloud is not here. The Mishkan is moving. Klal Yisrael is moving around. The stability and the predictability and the tranquility that I had once upon a time have been fundamentally, wholly, and totally disrupted. And the Rebbe says, what do you do in those moments when the cloud departs your Mishkan? What do you do in those moments of profound disruption? What do you do in those moments of uncertainty? And by the way, sometimes it's not just disruption and uncertainty. Sometimes it's tragedy. Sometimes it's sadness. Sometimes it's difficulty. But what do you do in the moment when the cloud leaves your personalistic Mishkan? When life as you know it has been upended and disrupted? And the Rebbe says there's only one choice. Torah Kedosha says it. What do you do? Ubehalos hanan me'ala Mishkan. When the cloud lifts itself up off the Mishkan, what do you do? Yisu b'nei Yisrael b'chol ma'aseim. There's only one choice. Move yourself forward. Move yourself forward. And lean into and embrace the journey ahead. I don't know what the journey is. You're right. But you gotta take it. I don't know what awaits me. Absolutely. But just embrace the uncertainty. Lean into it. Understand that this is what it's going to be because you have a choice. When life is disrupted, when the cloud leaves the Mishkan, you can become paralyzed by the uncertainty, paralyzed by the fear, unable to move yourself forward because, oh my gosh, life as I know it has just been turned upside down, just been upended. The cloud is no longer sitting atop my personalistic Mishkan. Or you can embrace the fact, okay, this is what it is. And the uncertainty is jarring. And the tragedy could be overwhelming. And the sadness could be paralyzing. But I refuse to yield to that. V'yisu b'nei Yisrael b'chol ma'aseh. I'm moving forward. Where am I moving forward? I don't know. How am I moving forward? Not sure. What is the journey ahead? Absolutely unclear. But one thing I know is that if the cloud is moving, so am I. That life as I know it has been disrupted, I can't remain in place. I have to figure out a way to move myself forward. And the Rebbe says something so beautiful. The Rebbe says, what was the point of the Mishkan? Because as we said before, obviously, HaKadosh Baruch Hu doesn't need a home. And as nice as it is for us to have a physical address with which to connect with God, what was the deeper meaning, deeper point, deeper mission of the Mishkan? And the Rebbe says something so beautiful. He says, Kol Yehudo Shel HaMishkan, the entire mission and purpose of the Mishkan, Hu lahanik la'am Yisrael as hakoach lahavi es hakidusha toch ha'olam. The Mishkan, the point of the Mishkan was to gird you with the strength to be able to move yourself forward in the world. Remember, the Mishkan was not a place to live. The Mishkan was a place to visit. The goal was go to the Mishkan, get whatever you need, and get back into the world. And what was the primary message? The Mishkan, by definition, was a mobile structure. What was the message of the Mishkan? Profound life mobility. Life is not a constant. Our situations are not a constant. Stability and predictability, the things that we crave most, are the very things that are the most elusive in this journey called life. So you go into the Mishkan, which is a temporary structure, recognizing that where it is today may not be where it's going to be tomorrow. Gird yourself with the strength that wherever the cloud goes, wherever life takes me, whatever the Shekhinah has in mind for me, I'm going. I got this. L'chol b'nei Yisrael, Yisu b'nei Yisrael, b'chol ma'aseh. Whatever the journey is, as scared as I am because of the unpredictability of the journey, I am ready and I'm strong enough to take it. Says the Rabbi, that was the entire point of the Mishkan. You went into the Mishkan, a structure of instability, a structure of insecurity, a structure of mobility, to gird yourself with the strength to take whatever journeys you have to take throughout life. That was the purpose. It's not a home for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I mean, it is, but it's not the primary purpose. It's not a physical avenue of connection for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It is, but that's not the primary purpose. The entire purpose of the Mishkan was not to live there, but to visit. And when you go, be mechazik yourself. That so much of life is temporary, unstable, and unpredictable. And there are so many journeys. There are some that we script and many that we never even imagined we would have to take. But we are strong. We are resilient. And wherever the cloud goes and wherever the Mishkan goes, I got this. All I know is that life is filled with journeys, many of which I never scripted. But I'm ready, not always eager, but I'm ready, I'm capable, and I'm strong enough to take them. This, says the Rebbe, is how the Torah concludes the entire narrative of the Mishkan. Because here, after all this time, we've been wondering, why are we building this structure? What exactly is it that we're supposed to glean and gain from this beautiful thing called the Mishkan? And the Rebbe says, we're supposed to glean the most important lessons about how to live life. Sometimes the cloud is on top of the Mishkan. Sometimes the cloud is on top of my personalistic Mishkan. Yeah, there are moments of life where everything is just together, perfect, beautiful, and fantastic. And when those moments happen, soak them in, take them in, and appreciate them. But very often in life, ubehalos ha'anane ala Mishkan. The cloud departs the Mishkan. The stability is disrupted. Instability sets in. And I'm scared. And I'm overwhelmed. And I don't know what to do. And there's a part of me that just wants to remain paralyzed with the fear of uncertainty. And I don't want to move forward. I'm just going to sit here and just, wallow in it. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu says in that moment, remember, why did I give you a Mishkan? I gave you a Mishkan so that every single time you enter into that structure of instability, that structure of unpredictability, you don't know where it's going to be day to day, you gird yourself with the strength to be able to go into the world and take whatever journeys I have in store for you. And in those moments when the personalistic cloud departs from the personalistic Mishkan, Yisu b'nei Yisrael b'chol ma'aseyim. Be brave enough to follow the cloud, to follow the Mishkan, to follow the journey, to follow the path. HaKadosh Baruch Hu has a plan for each of us. And sometimes that plan is laced with so much uncertainty, so much difficulty, sometimes tragedy, sometimes sadness. But there's always a plan. There's always a journey. We want more than anything for the cloud to be attached to the Mishkan. We yearn and we pine for a life of tranquility, predictability, and stability. But often, that's not on the cards. So we enter into our personalistic Mishkan. We gird ourselves with the strength that we are the people of unpredictability, and we are the people of instability, and we are the people who, no matter what the journey is, we stand ready and able to take it. It's true as a nation, and it's certainly true as an individual. May HaKadosh Baruch Hu give us lives where the cloud is attached to the ohel more often than it's not. But when the cloud departs, and when the stability and predictability of our lives are disrupted, let us find the courage, the Mishkan strength to take the journey. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. It may not be easy, but we have all the strength we need to take whatever journey HaKadosh Baruch Hu has in store for us. When the cloud departs from on top of the ohel, which inevitably it will, may HaKadosh Baruch Hu give us the strength. Yisu b'nei Yisrael b'chol ma'aseyim. As a people, we will be ready to take any journey. And as individuals, we are confident, capable, and able to take whatever life journey HaKadosh Baruch Hu has planned for us. Wishing everyone a good Erev Shabbos and a beautiful Shabbos Kodesh.